Angel White Wolf, The Dark Enlightened One, by Francisco Toledo Rosenfield. Part 1, Chapter 1. God damn it! I've had it! I've had it with living with fear. I've had it with feeling empty. I've had it with looking and only halfway finding. Had it with going forward and going forward, but it's never enough. Had it with doing everything I should do to evolve and feeling miserable in the process. Had it with having to pay the price of everything. Had it with requirements. Had it with drama that humanity loves so much. Had it with innumerable stupid rules. Had it with the collective consciousness that everything worthwhile is very difficult. It's over. Stupid world full of imbecile and self-destructive people. Is it really so difficult for things to work well? What? Do they have shit in their brain? I really tried to be good, to be a better person, to be guided by love, to grow spiritually, to forgive, to follow the highest path, to evolve. I really tried. And what for? Where's my prize? Where's my pot of gold at the end of the rainbow? Of course, supposedly following a spiritual road is not for obtaining rewards. But then, what the hell is it for? We are human, and we look for rewards, or in the worst case, avoidance of punishment. I actually started with my spiritual practices when I was very small, looking for good things to happen to me and avoiding bad things. I really tried very hard, but now I'm disillusioned and tired of feeling that I advanced more and more without reaching a goal, without arriving at a point where everything makes sense and seems clear. There's still pain and fear in my life. I can have a wonderful revelation one night and feel horrible the following day. What's going wrong? Spirituality was supposed to guide me to truth, and the truth would set me free. What am I doing wrong? After these words of frustration, I decided to go into a deep trance, like I did every day, to try to make sense of the chaos of my mind. I went to my bed. I surrounded myself with pillows and got comfortable. Then I sighed and closed my eyes. Now I was meditating and everything made more sense. I started to see how I had come to feel so desperate. To be frank, I started to feel desperate a long time ago. I followed a road of spiritual search all my life. I tried everything, rigorously practicing the religion I had since I was little, Catholicism, and when this did no good, starting to study and analyze many other religions, different types of philosophy, self-help books, martial arts since I was 7 years old, psychoanalytic therapy, New Age ideas and lifestyle, hypnosis and self-hypnosis, different kinds of mind control, movies and books that offered as a great secret the same ideas that the self-help books proposed decades before, transcendental meditation, study group of religions and mysticism, metaphysics, conscious self-control, Buddhist detachment and its noble eightfold path, the pre-Hispanic four accords, raising the energy of my chakras, taking care of each of my words, interviews with great spiritual teachers and gurus, regressions and analysis of my past lives, prayers, mantras, visualization, positive affirmations, and much more that I can't think of for the moment. Everything seemed to work. It was like if since adolescence I could see how I knew more each year that passed. I understood many things and I was capable of going beyond anything I had ever imagined. But even so, something was missing. When I turned 23, it was evident that I felt incomplete. My spirituality, which is something completely different from religion, had taken me some time before to feel better than ever, to experience something that few people know, which is real happiness. So I thought that if I developed my spirituality still more, I would come out of this new internal crisis. My spiritual path became the most important thing in my life. All through, I did many things like studying for my master's degree, training and teaching Taekwondo, going to the gym, having a girlfriend and an active social life. Among other things, I was always hyperactive. The most important thing for me was to learn and understand anything that could help me advance in my spiritual evolution. There was no going back. I was searching to free myself. I was searching for enlightenment. Time passed, and the emptiness grew. On the outside, everyone saw me advancing. I was an apparently happy person. I smiled more. I had a much more positive attitude. I was a more loving and tolerant being. It seemed evident that spirituality worked, except that I felt miserable. What was wrong? The more I turned into a stupid ray of sunshine for the world, the more I tried to bury my own darkness so it wouldn't obscure the light of love. The more I went towards enlightenment, the more I suffered. Suddenly, I would find something. I had revelations that left me breathless, and doors opened. I advanced more than ever, and then I understood that the emptiness was still rising. It wasn't logical. More time passed, and I started to follow the spiritual map that Saint Teresa of Avila left for us in her book The Interior Castle. I explored my soul in deep trances of prayer, always thinking that the following step would lead to freedom from my misery. It never happened. I eventually went through 4 of the 7 mansions of the castle that, according to Saint Teresa, form our soul. I arrived at the 5th one, and I understood that suffering and pain, which are not the same thing, were part of the path and not something that went away, and frankly, I was no longer willing to go on with it. It was time to create my own path and not follow others. So, one day, I simply freed myself. I got sick of trying so hard to be what others said I should be they saints, gurus, spiritual teachers, or well-known authors of self-help books. An evolved person is one that, an enlightened one is one who, a saint is he who. And then came a long list of requirements. I was sick of trying to fill the requirements that others proposed so I could supposedly evolve spiritually, and of advancing more and more only to feel worse. I felt like a hamster running in its stupid little wheel, feeling that I was advancing miles while I was still at the same point. In this way, I stopped following what others said I should do. It seemed that following my own path worked. The emptiness started to disappear, and I felt again that deep joy that only those who have felt it can recognize. But it was no longer enough. My goal was much higher. Now here I am, frustrated once more because of not knowing with certainty if I am doing the right thing, if my road will take me to enlightenment or to perdition. Sick of not seeing definite results, sick of not having a true enlightened one to come and tell me what I'm doing right and what I'm doing wrong. Ugh, may they all rot. I'm going to be myself. Period. I am sick and tired of trying so hard, Searching so much makes me nauseous. To hell with everything. I'm going to go on the internet and I'm going to talk to the first asshole I find, so I can forget about all this. I'm tired of worrying. I just want some distraction and, with luck, to impregnate myself with the marvelous ignorance that makes all these jerks so happy. I load my old account and my old nickname, Sibiant. I've always been so symbolic, even in small details. I'm curious, what will I be able to see now? Ugh. Marvelous international chat room. A place where I can find a stranger who doesn't have the slightest idea of who I am, and I can feel good proving that my work hasn't been in vain, because generally it feels as if I were light years ahead of the others. Let's look at the profiles of these nuts. Who looks promising? Someone with whom, in fact, I can have a decent conversation? Aha, a victim. Angela Whitewolf. An interesting name. With luck, she's a lovely psycho that will make my ego happy flirting with me. She'd better have a brain. How are you, Angela? Hi. Hi. How are you? Just fine. How are you? Hungry. I get cranky when I haven't eaten. Wait a sec. I'm going to open a bag of chips. Okay. A first analysis. It seems this girl is interested in talking to me. Fine. I'm ready to act funny. She went to get a bag of chips. I like that. At least she's not an anorexic. I already know something about her. I'm back. Excellent. And with healthy food next to you, right? Well, it's good for the soul. I suppose so. Bad for the body, but good for the soul. No, good for the body and better for the soul. Excellent. I'm talking to a sicko. No, really, excellent. I'm serious. I don't like sane people. They are so boring. Good for the body and good for the soul. A bag of chips. Everything is good for the soul, and nothing that feels good is bad for my body. Cool. I'm ready to argue. My huge ego has always loved arguments. They are a way of showing my intelligence. In the best case, she'll be very impressed when she hears my arguments. I don't know anyone who knows more about spiritual subjects than me. There are lots of things that feel good and are bad for your body. No, nothing that feels good is bad for my body. Any doctor would disagree with you. I don't care what any doctor thinks. No one is going to come tell me what is bad for my body. If I say something is good for it, then it is. Okay, that bothers me. No more Mr. Nice Guy. It's time to fight with devastating arguments, to shut her up. Suddenly, my desire for a new fan disappeared in the wake of winning an argument against a person who is evidently stubborn and intelligent. Okay, Angela, the question is this. You have a human body, which uses chemical processes through which it works and... Enough! What? She interrupted me? I am not here to flirt. I am not here to argue either. Well, actually, I am, but not about this. And, by the way, I am a heterosexual man just like you. So I'd like you to stop thinking with the head you were using when you noticed my name and start thinking with the one that's further up. What? She fooled me. Why didn't you tell me from the beginning? Because I wouldn't have cut your interest like I did, and I wouldn't have made you mad either. And with you, Making you mad is a sure way to make you pay attention. Bitch! Whore! Slut! But she's right. Now she has me cut. There is no way that I'll stop talking to her. Oh, right. It's not a woman. It's a man. I'm so angry I didn't even remember that. But of course that I'm not going to admit I've been successfully manipulated, so I'll just continue. Okay, so what do you want? It's you I want. What? I want what you want. I doubt it. I want to strangle you. And how do you know what I want? Because I am more you than you'll ever imagine. You don't say. Well, then, what do I want? You want to achieve enlightenment. Excuse me? You want to achieve enlightenment. At least, that's what you call it. And that's what many others call reaching a more transcendental state of consciousness. There's a lot of confusion about what achieving enlightenment is exactly. And that's because nobody knows what they're talking about. They have myths, legends, stories from old enlightened ones, and fantastic tales of their great achievements. They have spiritual teachers who tell them, as if it were a fact, what they think enlightenment is, or sainthood, or nirvana. But if they really knew what it was, they would know that enlightenment isn't something you can define, or reach, or follow, or look for. Okay, this bitch has my full attention, and my desire to discredit her and beat her in a debate. Oh yeah, it's a man, true. And I suppose, Angela, that you do know what it is, right? Of course. Of course? So you're an enlightened one? Of course. I am Angel Whitewolf. I am an enlightened one. And now it's you that I want. Thank God! A true enlightened one who's going to show me everything I don't know. My prayers have been answered. At least you finally changed your nickname for a male one. Oh, great master. Your sarcasm is irritating. And yes, I am an enlightened one who has come to show you that you have nothing to learn and that you know everything. Yes, your prayers have been answered, and they always have been. I'm only here to make you conscious of it. Uh-huh. Well, if you're enlightened, why does my sarcasm irritate you so much? Why does it irritate me? Well, let me explain. It's impolite, disrespectful, childish. I love it when I use it with someone or when someone uses it on someone I dislike. But when it applies to me, I have homicidal impulses. Homicidal impulses. I see you are truly enlightened. You get angry because I'm sarcastic. You enjoy being sarcastic with others. You enjoy the humiliation of those you don't like. What's more, you yourself are admitting there are people you don't like. All this goes against what an enlightened one is. Really? And how do you know that? As far as I know, you insist that you are not enlightened. Not yet. I've searched for the exact road for a long time, and I haven't found it. I've failed time and again because I can't control my impulses, or my character, or my thoughts. I advance, and I advance only to find that I'm still a being who holds grudges, selfish and impatient, but at least I have the humility to admit it and not commit the insanity of calling myself enlightened when I have so many things I need to change before I'm even worthy of aspiring to something so sublime. Oh, but how moving. I can tell you've read a lot of those who are sure they know what to do to achieve enlightenment, like pleasing God, like following the road of your soul and rejecting temptations that distract you from it. I can tell they have convinced you that you have to be humble, because an enlightened one is meek of heart. Let me drop my first bomb. You are not humble. You have never felt you are insignificant, and you are aware of the fact that you have many advantages in relation to others. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. You don't say. I do say. Quite simply, that's the way you are. You've fought against it because you have been told you should. You've been told you have to overcome your selfishness to be enlightened. You've been told you have to do many things and you have to stop doing many others to be even worthy of aspiring to something so sublime. And you've learned it so well that you repeat it perfectly. Something sad about all this is that it's not only you who believes it. It's believed by millions of people who search with a sincere heart to reach a much higher state of consciousness. Even those same spiritual teachers, who in most cases recommend all this with the best intentions, believe it. But the saddest part about all this is that no one dares to see the obvious. To think that you have to do something to achieve enlightenment is to believe that you are not enough, and therefore you have to change. This belief is the base of most religions and spiritual systems in the world. You are not enough, but you can be. You are not perfect, but you can be. You have not earned the grace of God, but you can earn it. You are not enlightened, but you could be, if only you follow the rules. Allow me. I think I'm going to puke. Well, I don't believe in much of what you said anymore. I think I'm enough, that I am perfect and that God loves me, and that's why I've earned His grace, but I know. It gets complicated. I'll give you this. You really think you are enough, that you are perfect, that God, the universe, the all, the collective unconscious, life, etc., loves you, and that you've earned His grace. But when the time comes to live in accordance to these beliefs, you become conflicted. It's not that I become conflicted. It's that I'm going through a process of evolution. I'm a perfect being. We all are. But we came to this physical world to experiment. And that's why we evolve little by little, while we experience all aspects of our spiritual being in the material world until finally we are able to experience physical perfection. In this way, God's will is done on earth as it is in heaven. How pretty and how boring. Let's forget the cliches to catch readers of self-help books and New Age philosophy. You are right. We are here to experience our perfection. The mistake comes from believing that perfection has to be one specific way. What do you mean? That there are millions of ways of experiencing perfection. A perfect human being isn't only one who doesn't get angry or who isn't sarcastic. So you're telling me that there can be an enlightened one who is sarcastic, bad-tempered, who has tantrums and is stubborn like me? Actually, it would be difficult for me to imagine an enlightened one who wasn't, but that's only because I am sarcastic, bad-tempered, I have tantrums and I'm stubborn, and I am an enlightened one. That's not possible. And that belief is the only thing that makes us different at this moment, and the only reason why I am an enlightened one, and you are not yet.